morning, and since we were last here a fortnight ago, the international cricket season has started. Do I spot the odd female rolling her eyes to heaven? Anyway, for CDM Harrison of Trowbridge, it was an important occasion.
Yes, I took the day off work in order to watch the first one-day international against the West Indies.
The trouble was, Mr. Harrison's day had barely got off the ground when...
At 11 o'clock, 15 minutes after the match started, the morning's play was interrupted by 7 minutes of news and weather.
And an hour later...
Another 7 minutes of news and weather.
So, come 12:55, when it was time for yet more news and weather...
On an unusually good morning for the English team, when 7 West Indies wickets fell, the BBC managed to miss one of them during the 12 o'clock break and another during the last over before lunch.
Right. They have realised this is a problem. They, of course, watch cricket. So from now on, there will be shorter news and weather bulletins. And in a couple of weeks' time, when the third test starts, cricket will be on BBC Two with no interruptions. Can't wait. The start of the season also introduced a new talent into the commentary box. Mr. Turner of Haywards Heath, you wanted to say?
Please, could someone gag, muzzle or drown Jeff Boycott?
And Mr. D.F. Webster of Esher, you wanted to say?
What a pleasure it was to watch and listen to the BBC coverage of the one-day international matches. The reason? The absence of Jeff Boycott from the commentary team.
And definitely not cricket.
Dear Anne, I'm a member of the long-suffering species, a Knots Landing fan, and I have gradually learnt to accept it is the fate of this programme to be continually postponed.
Now this from Anna Doyle of Canterbury in Kent, which just goes to show that Knots Landing-itis, a condition of acute pain and misery, brought about when this programme is unreasonably and insensitively cancelled, has spread from Essex to all parts of the country. Indeed, Anna says.
I've now become completely accustomed to the rather dishy voice who regularly lets us know Knots Landing will be back in 2 weeks' time, and have come to regard him as an old friend.
But, says Anna, there's been a new shock.
I am horrified to discover that them upstairs, not content with disrupting Knots Landing and also flying doctors, are now turning their attention to Cagney and Lacey, and there is no reassuring voiceover, so we're left hanging in mid-air.
And Miss M. McNaughton from Surrey asks very simply,
how many dissatisfied viewers do the BBC want before they do something about it?
Well, the trouble is, they who watch cricket do not watch Knots Landing. But let me assure you, Point of View is on the case, doing its best about this truly terrible situation. Bear with me for a few weeks more. Now, not cancelled because of sport, but at the end of its run, tonight at 8:30.
There's something I want to say to you. I've been wanting to say it for quite a while.
Take the plunge, darling. We're alone in the swimming pool.
Would you consider divorcing me?
Oh, Sam.
If I made everything easy?
Meaning, Sybil?
Of course not.
You prefer to be involved with a professional homebreaker as opposed to an amateur one.
Joan Collins and Simon Williams. Tony Rodriguez and Staines has this to say.
Darling, I've just seen Joni Rowley on the telly box, and one can only assume the poor prophet has fallen on hard times. Her darling friends have rallied round and allowed the poor little sweetie to keep her hand in with a touch of ammy-drammies.
The trouble is, there's a very sympathetic Tony.
Darling Noel's playlets weren't even that funny in 1935. Can't somebody do something? It's bad enough poor Joni's eating from cans these days, but surely she shouldn't be getting her laughs out of them.
Now, a huge response to Byline the Tuesday before last, in which former EastEnders star Michael Cashman had a chance to put forward his personal view and set out to examine people's attitude to homosexuality. It was entitled A Kiss is Just a Kiss. The kiss in question took place in EastEnders a few years ago and was between Colin, the gay architect played by Michael Cashman, and a male friend. For Michael, who publicly announced he was gay, it was a turning point. He was physically abused, verbally abused, and threatened and hounded by the press.
When I was playing Colin in EastEnders, 2 kids knocked at my door, aged about 8 and 10, and they asked me for a fiver. So I said, I'm not giving you a fiver. So they said, come on, give us a fiver. So I said, look, you are not getting a fiver, now go away. And these kids looked at me and they said, we don't want your fiver, because those 2 fellas gave us a tenner to ask you. And sitting just across the road from my house were 2 men in a car, one with a zoom lens camera. And presumably they wanted a photograph of me, so that the following day in their responsible daily paper, they could have the caption, why is this gay man giving £5 notes to young boys?
As I said, a huge response to the programme, umpteen letters of congratulations.
It was refreshing to see gays and lesbians represented exactly as they are, ordinary people.
Said a letter signed simply Bernard London E1, and it's as good an indication as any of the prejudice that exists that several of those writing and telephoning felt able only to sign their Christian name. Glenn from South London commented,
The subject of homosexuality was tackled both sensitively and realistically. We're individuals capable of having individual thoughts and can no longer allow ourselves to believe in and comply with childish, fabricated, bigoted misconceptions.
Bravo to Michael Cashman, said Sarah Carter of Coventry.
For a so-called civilised society, the persecution of any minority group is horrifying and abhorrent. Programmes on issues such as homosexuality are vital for the education of the public, so Britain can aspire to follow, as the programme suggested, the attitude to civil rights as practised in other European countries.
Not all of the letters praised the programme. A minority condemned it in no uncertain terms. G.H. Hughes of Carnarvon thought at the very least there should be a right of reply of the same length.
I am dismayed that the BBC not only produced such a programme, but also does not intend to balance the views aired by granting the opponents of homosexuality their own 40-minute response.
And as for the programme itself, Mr. Hughes found it
Typically biased, morally odious, and politically inspired.
but far more representative of the views was this phone call.
The BBC deserve to be congratulated on this programme with Michael Cashman about constructive issues with gay people and showing that we're not a minority and we're not to be sneezed at, and let's have more of it.
East London